Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Falls Count Anywhere here on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is Eric Dunn. I am here alongside legendary wrestling promoter Tony Jones, one and only, by the way. Thank you guys for being here. And to just let you guys know a little bit about this program, too, we go live every Wednesday starting at 5. We are available right here, of course, on Facebook, on Twitter, Twitch, and also on YouTube. So definitely be able to look at all of our social media accounts and also follow us at Falls Count Anywhere as well. You know, we've been teasing a couple of things over the last week or so, but this time I've actually got some content for you guys I think you're really going to be interested in wanting to hear. And throughout the time we have together, CM Punk, after being gone for over 8 months
Yeah.
because of a really bad injury that not just required surgery, he was also suspended from AEW. We're going to break down his official return, what his plan is, and we're also going to break down to what we think could happen with him now that he's back in AEW, including with Impact as well as they are getting ready to have their next pay-per-view, especially with the main event being Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley from the Motor City Machine Guns for the Impact World Title. Tony and I have got a lot to break down there. And then we're going to wrap up with WWE. I have an update on Money in the Bank. And we called it, Tony. The bloodline is officially gone. The Usos
Finally.
finally turned face. We're going to break down what happened on SmackDown and also why that is the main event for Money in the Bank. And we're going to do a very special celebration for the one and only Adam Copeland, who we know as the Radar Superstar Edge, who just celebrated 25 amazing years in WWE. We're going to break down his story, his first retirement, how he was able to get cleared and come back for his second official retirement later on at some point this year. And we're just going to give him a great tribute. We're going to talk about him because I'm sure we got some stories on him. And be sure to also follow this show. Hashtag Edge25, hashtag Money in the Bank, hashtag Bloodlines Done, and hashtag CM Punk Returns. And this will all be coming at you throughout our time together. So with that being said, I'd like to inform all of you at this time that this broadcast of Falls Count Anywhere is the exclusive property of Rhode Island Broadcasting for the uses of our audience. But any publications, reuses, or redistributions by anyone is not prohibited and is given the express consent to be shared worldwide and everywhere. And to all of you, it's greatly appreciated. And so, Tony, if you are a fan of CM Punk and you followed his story throughout WWE to when he left, gone for 7 years, didn't know if he would ever come back into this business ever
Yeah.
again. Fans, even
Lawsuit upon
fans,
lawsuit.
yeah, exactly. Fans everywhere still chanting his name because he left an impact on this business. He comes back to AEW. He comes back to this industry after 7 years. AEW wins the AEW World Heavyweight title, gets suspended, and has to have surgery. He's gone for 8.5 months. But as of the debut of their AEW show on TNT Collision, he's not only just back, he's CM Punk. I was waiting for you to talk, Tony. That's why I stopped.
I was looking up. I tend to look towards the nerdy things sometime. And I was just
Yeah,
Forbes is
sure.
reporting that AEW Collision drew 816,000 viewers, did a
Yeah.
.33 of the 18 to 49 demographic, which, these days in launching a new show on traditional television is not easy. So that is,
No, it's
a
not.
whole show launched on his back. And don't
Mm-hmm.
forget now that AEW, after if you're catching us live, is in Chicago tonight. So I have a
Right.
feeling CM Punk could also maybe show up on Dynamite, and it's going to be interesting. This guy has
Yep.
a fan following like none other.
Absolutely, he does. Absolutely. I mean, CM Punk is a legend in his business from not just the pipe bomb he gave a dozen years ago, but I mean, he is just a guy that I think is been missed. You know what I mean, Tony? I mean, granted, love him or hate him, you have to respect him for everything that he's done for this business already. But I mean, Tony, how did you feel though about the promo and when he came back? Because the truth is, when I saw this, it looks to me like CM Punk. He's done playing nice. He's done playing the bearskin rug for people, and I think he's ready to actually show this entire business in this industry that CM Punk is not going away for a while.
Yeah, and it's tough to come back from a tricep injury, but it's even tougher to come back from a real life backstage brawl. And, I mean, it's just like any other workplace, even a contract. If any of us
Yeah.
get in a fist fight at our day jobs, chances are it's going to be tough to seek employ once again. And somehow
Mm.
he's able to shirk the lawsuits and shirk the drama and shirk all that to somehow be back out there and potentially headlining another pay per view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tony, this goes back to when he got suspended, right? I mean, it was with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega after
Yeah.
defending the AEW World Heavyweight title. He literally gave a pipe bomb press conference and basically got suspended from Tony Khan because of the altercations of what he said. And that also include Hangman Adam Page in there as well a little bit too. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, Tony,
And
we actually remember
after
that rivalry too.
after that, AEW almost got rid of even having the media scrums because funky
Yeah, of
stuff was
course.
happening like that every time they had to, they tried to have a media scrum after the pay-per-views. It's just like all heck
Yeah,
was breaking loose.
can't blame it too. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, Tony Khan was in a situation where he was going to be screwed,
Yeah.
like either
Yeah.
way. You know, I mean, I guess it's also why when you look at backstage brawls, you're like, some is meant for the script, some are not. But
Yeah.
but I also want to tie into you guys on this too that CM Punk, he's a straight shooter. I mean, he's not anybody to dick around with. He's not someone that wants to fool around with. I mean, he's gonna tell you to your face if he likes you or if he hates you, and he's gonna tell you if he respects you or if he doesn't. And I mean, I guess you know that kind of ties in right to when um, he threatened to leave WWE a dozen years ago. Because if you can think back, Tony, right when he became number one contender the month before Money in the Bank in Chicago, what was the promo that he gave? It's brutal honesty that I'm known for. That's got me in trouble more times than I like to admit.
Yeah.
July 17th is the day my contract with World Wrestling Entertainment comes to an end. And I'm letting you know that when the clock strikes midnight and the 17th turns into the 18th and Sunday bleeds into Monday, I am leaving. And trust me when I tell you, I am leaving with the WWE Championship. You just heard a hush over that crowd.
Yeah.
Like Tony, that's still on YouTube, by the way. Like if you go back and listen to it, Michael Cole, Jerry the King Lawler, they actually were believing
Yeah.
that if Punk won, he was gonna walk out. Now, no one can tell me that was scripted either. Like you can't tell me that was scripted. I mean, he didn't breach his contract. His contract expired the night of Money
Yeah.
in the Bank. So the second that pay per view went off the air, he was gone from the company. It was 2 weeks later when COO Triple H brought him back and signed him back. I mean, the truth is, everyone can say it was the summer of Punk. I said, nah. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, no, no, no. If that was the summer of Punk, he wouldn't have had to have gotten re-signed again
Yeah.
and then start up the momentum. They would have just kept it and re-signed him that following night or re-signed him that next night on Raw. There's your momentum. But if you think back to it, right, 10 years later, 2 years ago, we had the summer of Cena. You know what I mean? Like, that was the true summer of Cena. Like, that whole, like, from June, like, from May all the way over to August was just Cena for 3 awesome months of what he was able to do. And, it's just sad right now, too, when you think about all that, too. And I know I'm going off topic, but I mean, I'm gonna bring up Cena and some other guys too, maybe even Randy Orton a little bit too when we talk about Edge later on in the program because it kind of ties into like some things with Edge too, you know. But yeah, I mean Punk. I mean he's had a lot for his career. I mean he wasn't perfect. He kept making a lot of mistakes, but no one can deny the work ethic that he had, and that he was just a really good performer. He was just a really good wrestler. Still is.
And do you remember for a short time, WWE almost seems to like want to erase this from the memory, but for a short time they brought CM Punk back almost exclusively to work on Fox Sports and to kind of be a commentator and a behind the scenes guy. Like
WWE backstage on FS1.
what? Like who thought that that was going to work out at any way whatsoever? I mean, there's a guy who
No
wants to wrestle,
kidding.
he wants to be in a ring, and you're going to have him with a microphone just kind of doing filler spots. Like, come on.
That made no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I was happy like all the other fans of
Yeah.
WWE when he came back because that means maybe he's starting to rebuild that bridge with Vince and Triple H. But it's like, yeah, but you know what
Yep.
though?
We all knew it was not going to last.
We all, Tony, we all knew that show was gonna last because that show was the year before COVID when it hit. I mean, once COVID hit, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was obvious, Tony. I mean, there was one thing he said that I still remember from that. He said, "Just when they think they have the answers, I change. I change the culture." Well, I mean, let's just say that you know, Punk, in my opinion, I think this is probably going to be his last run at this. I think this is like going to be like his last crack.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to step up and you're going to make a point and prove something, this is your time now. You've been gone for 8.5, 9 months due to surgery, plus you were suspended. This is your time to get some redemption and show why you're still the best in the world. I mean, if Tony, it's hard to come back from an injury, but it's even worse to come back from an injury and a suspension at the
Yeah.
same time.
And legal
And,
problems and all that. Yeah.
and it wasn't even drugs. It wasn't even the substance policy. It wasn't even the wellness policy. He got suspended for speaking his mind and getting into a fight with his coworkers. Like backstage drama just was just a factor. Like it I'm sorry, Tony, but it's like, at some point you have to grow up. You have to be like, I'm 46, 47 years old. Like, get your head out of your ass and just start realizing the area around you here of like, no one's gonna like it, but you have to get through it.
Yeah.
Like, just get over it. Like, if I don't know, man. I honestly, as much as I love Punk, I think he's still got some more growing up to do in AEW. What do you think?
And I mean, to this day, AEW management has to work towards trying to keep CM Punk and the Young Bucks apart for legal reasons, because if another actual real physical altercation takes place, now them as the employer, as the contract holder, they knew that these two guys had to be separated. If someone were to get injured for real in a backstage brawl, AEW would be
Yep.
in a world of hurt, as would, TBS and everybody involved. So now, even with this new show kind of launching because of CM Punk, they're going to have to do a little dancing and keep him away from the people that he has real life legal drama with. So it's interesting from a fan perspective, but from a
Sure.
manager perspective, what a mess that has to be.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, that has to be just a nightmare for
Yeah.
everybody involved, especially Tony. He's got to be kicking himself in the nuts somewhere. Like he's just got to be so mad right now. But on the same token, he's happy to have Punk back because he's been that main attraction to help get AEW to some higher heights. You know what I mean? Like it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you though, right now, like it's nuts when you look at this too from a perspective of the traction of Impact, and I want to steer that in your direction too, because you know, by the way, how cool is it, by the way, that um, when you think about tag teams that helped created TNA, Impact, the Motor City Machine Guns are on that list.
Yeah.
They're not at the very top, but they're damn well in that top 10. Alex Shelley has now joined Chris Sabin on the list of wrestlers that that is now a world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
I haven't followed them as much, but seriously, Alex Shelley deserves to be world champion. And here's the funny part too. He was known as Magnus. Now he goes by his real name, Nick Aldis. That's the main event for that next pay-per-view you were saying, Summer Sizzler, something like
Summer
that, right?
Sizzler. Yep,
Summer Sizzler.
just like that crummy old restaurant that used to be out there, Sizzler. It's going to be a Summer Sizzler.
Yeah, no kidding. But um, it's just funny though how people like them, like Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, they finally get to be world champion. How funny is it? It's 10 years to the day too,
Yeah.
when Sabin won a Destination X in the fight with Aces and Eights. We remember that whole storyline that went 18 months.
And those
Alex
guys spent some
Shelley,
time in Ring
yeah,
of Honor before that, so they were already
exactly.
fairly seasoned as far as independent folks go.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so cool when you look at that and you're like, you know what? Careers come full circle. This is what Impact's trying to do. If you think you deserve to be world champion, prove it. And like it's just awesome when you look at that. Like, I mean, Tony, I don't know how you feel, but I mean,
And those
it's
X
just so
division matches
awesome.
are grueling. I mean, absolutely
Oh
grueling
yeah.
matches too. It's not just like your typical, clothesline, do a couple moves type matches. I mean,
Mm-mm.
these guys really kick the snot out of each other when it comes to X division.
Oh yeah, dude, they beat the hell out of one another.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no easy way to say it. Like they beat the living hell out of each other. And you know what? I dare say too, the Motor Machine Guns were part of that very, very small lineage of people that not only created the X division, but created the foundation for TNA because of that division. I mean, when you think, I mean,
Yeah.
Tony, when you hear of the X division, who do you think of? The Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, the phenomenal AJ Styles, the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. And then you branched out into Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Austin Austin Aries, double A. I remember him from
Which
that long ago.
which I thought was cool at the time because, there was that brief period where you're flipping through the channels and you saw the guys that you knew from other wrestling, the big stars,
Yeah.
but then when you're flipping through again, you saw this X across the ring. You saw these guys flipping and flopping and coming off of tables and coming off the top of the cage and it really brought for a brief moment with Impact, it really brought those
Oh
two
yeah.
worlds together.
Oh
I've been
yeah.
a fan ever
I
since.
mean, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's kind of hard when you think you want to say something, but then you just don't need to because the topic just has enough merit on its own. I mean, like, what else can you say about the X Division that created this company? And ugh, I'm telling you, man, Alex Shelley, he's had an amazing career with Chris Sabin. The Moise Machine Guns, they're still the same ones that pinned Team 3D in their retirement match in TNA.
Yeah.
I mean, like they've created a lot of history. I put them right up there with Beer Money. You know what I mean? Like I put them right up there with them. I mean, it's just incredible when you look at that. And
And Bully Ray's
wow,
still involved in
yeah,
Impact to this day. He was on the
I
last
know.
pay-per-view, as part of a big tag team match.
Even
Still
at his
going.
age,
Still going
even at his
going
age,
strong too.
even at his age of like what, 52, 53 years old, and
Yeah,
he's still wrestling.
yeah,
51. Yeah, I think it's like 53 now. Like he hasn't looked that bad. I mean he still looks big and it looks like he actually take bumps, which is amazing for his age. Because I thought that he'd be long gone by now and just
yeah.
doing talk shows on Sirius XM. But I mean, well, I'm serious, but um, but anyway, Tony, I mean, if you're an Indies fan, you have to be like having a fire lit up in your ass right now
Yeah,
because you're getting best of two worlds. Impact has a world heavyweight champion that's long overdue, and AEW has back a man that 12 years ago almost changed the face of this business with one pipe bombed promo.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a world right now where you're getting the best of everything, and it's just a cool thing. It really is. And Tony, before we wrap this part up and I take us over for our break, I want to ask you: is there anything else that you want to like tie into at the indie scene, and like maybe something a little bit more local too?
Well, what I thought was very cool, which just got announced as far as AEW goes, is that Victory Road and the 1,000th episode of Impact is going to be in White Plains, New York, which is, if you're local to our area, about maybe a 2.5-ish hour drive, depending on how the traffic goes. So
Yep.
that's as far as Impact goes, that's a big show for them being up in this neck of the woods. And
Yeah, Victory Road.
of course, like we were talking about, Slammiversary is right around the corner. Summer Sizzler's coming up,
Anniversary.
and they're going to head down to Australia for a while, and Chicago Heat after that, Philadelphia after that. So they, like I mentioned last episode, they are taking no break soaring and from having shows. They are nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe Slammiversary is actually their next pay-per-view, actually, from when I looked at the calendar. Um, because they have the main event being uh, Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley for the World Heavyweight title. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Seeing how far Nick has come in such a long time after being Madness, and I think we might even get some surprises too. But just real quick before I take us out, um, Santino Morella. I don't know how the hell he got put in as director of how to say it, the director of authority.
Yeah.
Like I like Tony. I love this guy. Honestly, like I love him. I mean, I think I loved him even more now than when he was in WWE. I mean, he was a funny guy with the Cobra. Like, it reminded me of Socko. But now in Impact, he was like he's actually got some balls. Like, he's actually an authority figure
Yeah.
that's actually doing something right for once in his career. That was a great signing by Impact. Like, that was the best move I think that they could have done. And personally, I think he's going to do a lot better than Scott D'Amore, because he's actually going to be coming back into the ring. He's actually returning to the ring.
Yeah, I think they're going to build something cool with that. It's been kind of a slow burn so far since he re-signed, just kind of doing some
Yep,
talking stuff and getting out there a little bit. But as far as the charisma goes and the mic skills go, we haven't seen him in the ring yet, but he still has stayed sharp on all the rest of the stuff.
absolutely. So I think on that note, I mean, that was a lot of impact in AEW, but I mean, we had to just break this all down for you guys. It was just a great week overall for both these companies, but for WWE though, man, do we got something special for y'all. So we're gonna take our only break to pay a couple bills and actually give us a little time to breathe here. And when we come back, we're gonna go into WWE, and we're going to give an update on Money in the Bank, and we're going to give an update from Money in the Bank because the main event has just been announced because of a action from SmackDown regarding the bloodline being over. And then on top of all of that, we're also going to dive into a very special celebration for a very special man. Edge is celebrating 25 years this week in WWE, and we're going to talk about his career. We're going to talk about his story when he came back from a triple fusion neck surgery of 9 years from 2011 when he retired to now him playing a second retirement, and what do you think he's going to be doing this summer with WWE. So all this, we're going to break it all down. We're going to tie it all up together, and we're going to give it all to you after a word from Lighthouse Gushers, Rhode Island, and Roosevelt Waiting Services, with also a word from your Rhode Island broadcasting station. You're listening to Falls Count Anywhere here on the RIB Broadcasting Network.
If you're looking for an entertainment company to help you with your event of any kind, feel free to check out Lighthouse Productions, Rhode Island. Providence-based company serving all of New England, providing you entertainment needs in the areas of sound, lighting, photo booth, photography, videography, drone videography, monograms, slideshows, and of course, DJ sound. As a special bonus, we also have wedding officiant services through Road to Love Wedding Services in conjunction with Lighthouse Productions to provide you all of your wedding needs. Don't need a wedding? Fantastic. You need music or a reason to have entertainment for a party of any kind? We can handle all budgets and all sizes and all different types of venues. With COVID, there's a 100% money back guarantee for any type of cancellation and rescheduling needs. Check us out at lighthouseproductionsri.com. Lighthouse Productions, Rhode Island, your entertainment source for all of New England.
And welcome back to False Count Anywhere here on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. And once again, we are live every Wednesday at 5. You can find us right here on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, as well as YouTube. Follow us also at False Count Anywhere as well. And for this episode, we're under the hashtags Edge25, Money in the Bank, and also hashtag Bloodlines Done. And finally, Tony, they're done. I mean, how many times have we been talking about this? We want them to be over. And we're going to save Edge for the end because he's going to take a little bit to, break down and get all this into it here because I got a lot to talk about him. But, Tony, Money in the Bank just got a major announcement. The main event for that pay-per-view in London, England, is the Bloodline itself. Last Friday night on SmackDown, Jey Uso had to make a decision. Stay with Roman or go back to his brother Jimmy. The way it was brought up and it was described, it made it look like that Jimmy was the one holding back Jey from being the main event persona of his character and evolving the next stage of his career. Everybody, Tony, even myself, thought that he was going to stay heel and be with Roman. Everyone did not want him to. I mean, Tony, it's been rumored for months that no one wanted this bloodline anymore. They're all waiting for Roman to be thrown too, by the way, but that's a separate conversation, But Jey did the unthinkable and shocked the WWE Universe. The Usos have turned face. They are finally done with the bloodline. And now the main event has been confirmed, Tony. Bloodline Civil War. Who will be the ones? Roman and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. So the first time that the Undisputed Champion and the Street Champion joined forces, right, Tony? Jimmy and Jay's intervention backfired, and it allowed Sami and Kevin Owens to retain their Undisputed Tag Team titles and Night of Champions. But since then, the Iron Hand of the Tribal Chief ultimately pushed Jimmy over the edge with a super kick right to the jaw that left the WWE Universe absolutely speechless. With ascension in the ranks, Reigns demanded Jey to fall in line and preserve the power of the legendary wrestling family. But Jey, however, did not fall in line, aligning with his brother as they both super kicked the head of the table to officially eject themselves from the bloodline. Tony, I don't know if I can speak for you, but I'm going to damn sure speak for me. I am so happy that we're finally going to get this. Because, Tony, I said this back on my episode of I'm Done with Sports from earlier in the week on 990 WBOB. It has been brewing for months. It all started back in January at the Royal Rumble with Sami putting the chair in the back of Reigns. By the way, Tony, how familiar is it too? Because it reminds you of what happened 9 years ago with the Shield and Seth Rollins. I mean, think about it, Tony. That was the beginning of the end. And then KO and Sammy officially reunited again. By the way, this is kind of a little bit, it's similar to this, but there's a quote that Michael Cole said about that. And I'm telling you, it was probably one of the loudest pops of the entire year so far when Owens and Sammy not only hugged, but they reunited to once again be that tag team, and it's been a long time, Tony, since we've actually seen that, and it was that quote from Michael Cole that really spoke true to what was said, and it had to do with friendship, and it says this: truly great friends are hard to find. They're difficult to leave, and they're impossible to forget. That sums it up right there. Jimmy and Jay are brothers also in real life. They're best friends. Impossible to forget.
Yeah.
Tony, like, do I have to say anything else?
And I think that super kick also super kicked one of the best reactions on Paul Heyman's face that I've seen on SmackDown.
Wasn't it?
He's one of my favorite talkers. He's one of my favorite managers,
Yeah,
but
me too.
he really did his thing when it came to that super kick. I actually was hoping that maybe Paul Heyman would take a bump and possibly also get super kicked, but we didn't get to see that. But man, he helped it. He helped the angle. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you know what though, man? Yeah, but you know what though? He's the wise man. You know what I mean? He's the advocate for Reigns. He wasn't going to do anything like that. You know? And I mean, it was just interesting with that. Like it really was. But just real quick, Tony, because I want to say this too. Just to mention this to you guys as well. Rhode Island Broadcasting also reminds you to donate bits and stars to all of our shows, including this one right here of Falls Count Anywhere, to not only bring in some help for our show, but to bring some help for the company as a whole, but to also get you guys more involved. You know, we've had a growing fan base every week for the last month or so, but we're trying to get this thing stronger to be able to get you guys more involved, not only with us, but with what we're trying to do with wrestling in general. And, you know, Tony, it's just interesting now that the main event is the bloodline divided. Like, it's interesting with all that. And, you know, for those who don't know as well, Tony's also every 2 weeks also with our program. So every time that he gets to come on, I mean, you know, to me, it's an absolute delight and it's a pleasure because I get to be in the presence of someone that's been doing this for so long that I really am soaking up a lot of knowledge from him. Like I'm soaking up a lot of wisdom for what he's doing. So thank you, Tony, of course. You know, but I'm also letting you guys know this too, that in 2 weeks, when Tony does come back to Falls Count Anywhere, we'll also be breaking down Money in the Bank with the entire results. So Tony and I will be having a lot of fun with that, my man. So we're having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, that's Money
You
in the
know,
Bank's starting to turn into one of my favorites. Because as someone who was a big fan of the Attitude Era, just general ladder matches played a big role in the Attitude
hmm
Era for WWE, but also for ECW.
yeah,
Then they had TLC, which was a whole pay-per-view, tables, ladders, and chairs, and now that's
absolutely.
kind of morphed into this, where that ladder comes into play, and you get to see a whole different skill set, a whole different move set from the wrestlers who normally wouldn't be involved, with a ladder being the main focal point in the middle of the ring. And do you remember 2020 when that ladder was on the top of the WWE headquarters
Yes.
in the ring, supposedly at the top of the building, and supposedly people were getting killed because they were
Thrown off the
thrown off
roof.
the side of the building? But hopefully we don't have to see anything like that again. Tough times.
Oh no, Tony, that was. And for those that remember that, that was the COVID year.
Yeah.
Like that was the worst year of COVID. Um, but Tony, like think about this and how weird it is too. Last night I was actually watching an episode of WWE Rivals that's on A&E, on the app, and they had one with John Cena versus Edge, and we're gonna get
Mhm.
to Edge in just a couple minutes here. Um, Cena actually admitted that he was actually afraid of heights.
Wow.
Like, like honestly, how funny is it? Off the camera, behind the curtain, You got wrestlers that are afraid of heights, don't like it, don't want nothing to do with it. But on camera, when that light's on, it's like they're on. It's like they're unfazed.
Yeah.
Like nothing bother, like nothing bothers them. They're scared of nothing. I mean, how many people have we seen actually look afraid to climb that ladder, but they know they have to do it in order to change their lives and their families? I mean, the thing, Tony, I look at is this: when you are world champion, you're basically running this company
Yeah.
at your own pace. Like you are the head of the table, pun intended, when you are a world champion.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's the world heavyweight title, doesn't matter if it's the WWE title or the Universal title,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
No, you
That's
are
still a world.
you are literally, they literally go out there and paint your face on the side of the tour bus that carries all the
Exactly.
equipment. Yeah.
I mean, you are the face that runs the place. Another pun intended. You know, um, but like that's the scary part about it too with Money in the Bank is so many people in WWE look at that as an opportunity to change their family's lives and theirs. Because when you're champion, that money goes up.
Yeah.
Especially when you outperform everybody else, that money goes up. And that salary gets bigger. And that just means, you know, their kids' college fund, their that's all paid for. Their education's paid for. They they're they'll be taken care of emotionally and mentally and physically forever. Like, many people don't really understand that when you're in WWE, of all places to be, you are putting your own life at risk every single night. Trained or not, fake or not, these are athletes taking real bumps, taking real hits and real shots. One slip of the foot, you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
One slip of the foot, you're on the operating table. Hell, Tony, one slip of the foot, you're freaking dead. Go back to what happened to Owen Hart in '99. Like, need I say anymore? I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I'm getting a little too deep here, but like I'm just making a point. WWE is not for the faint of heart. And Owen Hart, may God bless his soul, who created the Hart Dynasty and that foundation back then. God bless his soul. God bless him. I mean, like you know, it's not for the weary. Like I'll tell you that. Like if you don't like if you want to be a professional wrestler, your dream is to be in WWE. Like that's everyone's dream when you're in this business. But the money though, that depends on your talent. And that depends on how you produce. Not just as a performer, but as an entertainer with promos as well. Like how many people have we seen trying to go to promo class and they absolutely suck?
Yeah.
But they get paid big ass money. Like for example, Brock Lesnar, the Beast, gets paid what, 10.5 million a year because he's an ass kicker. But also because Heyman was the mouthpiece. But now you start seeing Lesnar, especially for the last 2 years, Tony. No Heyman. He's all by himself out
Yeah.
there,
He's come a
naked
long way.
and afraid.
Yeah.
And he's talking on the mic. He gives promos. Oh my God. I think if you look back at some funny moments in the last like 2-3 years and you see Lesnar up there, that's just because he talks
Yeah.
now that he didn't do before. Like he's amazing now at promos. And trust me, that is a scary beast when you think about it. When you have a beast in WWE like Lesnar that not only can shoot, can fight, can wrestle with the best of them, but now can talk and completely rip your ass to shreds, there's your moneymaker.
Yeah.
John Cena, he's another one. The Rock, he's another one. Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's another one. And speaking of legends, how'd we get to Edge, Tony? Like, seriously, one of the greatest to ever be in this company. And I dare say, one of the greatest ever, period, in this industry. I mean, this guy is an inspiration. He really is. A heel much of his career. And he's just, I mean, listen to his accolades right now. 11-time world champion. He's won King of the Ring, the
Oh, yeah.
Royal Rumble twice. He's won Money in the Bank twice. Well, no. First time was in the actual match. Second time he won in a match that he beat someone at because the other guy had to have surgery. Um, I mean, he is a tag team specialist that then broke out to be a single specialist. And he's a rated R superstar. Had to retire from triple fusion neck surgery. Gone for 9 years. WWE Hall of Famer officially now. He comes back in 2020 at the Royal Rumble. And the next 3.5 years, a little bit more than that, Edge is going to have a second retirement, but this time on his terms. We don't know when he's going to officially be done, but he's going to be celebrated officially this week because Edge is now past 25 years in WWE. 25 years. Even when he was retired, he was still with this company. Edge is, Edge Adam Copeland is just a really amazing guy. I mean, if you really get the chance to see him, not just in the ring, his promos, his personality, his character, he's been a real money maker, especially towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
He brought in money. And the thing is, Tony, that Rivals episode I was telling you about with him and with him and Cena, they both need each other in order to get far in their careers. I dare say, Batman needs his Joker. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like
No,
every
and
hero needs a villain.
I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling, but for a lot of wrestling fans, they want to see that person go off, whoever their favorite wrestler is, whoever their favorite guy is or girl is. They want to see their favorite person go off on their own, no matter how good they are in a tag team. And there was a while where tag team wrestling was really huge in WWE, and Edge and Christian were a part of that, and the Hardy Boys. But
That's right.
folks like to see their favorite star fly off like that, and that's what we saw in Edge.
Yeah, Edge is just a really a big instrumental guy. But Tony, I want to ask this too because we're talking about Edge's story and what he's meant to this company, and what did you see if you could think back to when he announced his retirement in 2011 and those 9 long years of him just going through everything, and then somehow he gets cleared
Well, and that's
and
the thing.
he's back.
That's the thing too, is he wasn't doing a ton of public appearances, which I think made people nervous health-wise. So a lot of times when wrestlers retire, the next week they're out at a comic convention, or they're out at a wrestling convention, or they're shooting a movie, or they're doing something else. Edge kind of just retired and went back up to Canada, and nobody really heard from him for a while. So there was talk, as fans like to talk about the seriousness of his injury. Could he be in a wheelchair next time we see him? Could he end up paralyzed? And people really thought that we would never see him in the same state again, especially never in the ring again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tony, that's something that a lot of wrestling fans, I don't think really quite grasped how serious Edge's retirement was. Well, because when you hear triple fusion neck surgery, the risk for paralysis is even greater. Because it's a 3-layered surgery through 3 completely separate areas, all targeting his spinal cord. And the thing is, 8 years prior, he broke his neck the first time. And that was a double-layered surgery. That was double fusioned. This time it was triple because he knew he was on borrowed time. And I think that's what made it really saddening for fans like me and us. Because at the same time, these are real human beings. These are real people. Like these aren't stunt doubles. These aren't just actors filling roles and then they go home after being on the set for 10 hours. These are athletes 300 days a year taking punishment that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy.
And then sitting in a car or a tour bus or a plane for 8 hours
Even
to
worse.
do it again.
I mean, it's just there's no one like the Radar Superstar. Never has been before, never has been since, and never will be again. Just an absolute phenomenal guy, just an amazing wrestler, but even better person. I mean, you hear
And
like all.
something that I find interesting and you'll find interesting, and this will be my weekly useless tidbit for the week. Edge,
Sure.
before wrestling, got his degree in radio broadcasting. So that partly explains why he has always been so good on the mic. He didn't kind of have to ease into it like some other wrestlers. They take time. He came with those mic skills.
I did not know that. That is uh that is really cool when you actually think about that. Oh, and by the way, just as a side note, um, I actually was not yawning at you, Tony. Um, I I just had a couple times where I just yawned because I'm tired, and it's like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like I don't want you to feel
You're
feel
talking to the guy
unoffended at
that's
all.
you're talking to the guy that's drinking caffeine 24 hours a day. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's all good because I kind of got made fun of a little bit there by Ron, our producer for RIB. So let's just say that at some point I think we'll get him back. One day we'll get him back. Yeah, hashtag snooze. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, and that was a comment off of our Twitch. Um, but anyway, here getting back on the serious note. I mean, Tony Edge, it's gonna be even more saddening to see him go again. But I think this time we all could be happy as members of the WWE universe that Edge is going to leave on his own terms this time, and that Edge is finally going to get the closure he's been looking for. And you know what? Even though Christian, his real life best friend and tag team partner in this company, 11 years ago at his Hall of Fame induction, said to him, "Hey, think about it. You did on your terms. Your last match was at WrestleMania, the
Yeah.
grandest stage of them all. You walked into that ring as the world heavyweight champion and you left as the world heavyweight champion." That is true. But you want to know why it sucked though? Because he didn't leave on his own choice. The doctors told him he had no
Yeah.
choice. Now he has the choice and he's going to use it and he's going to make it. The question is, when's Edge's final match going to be in WWE? We don't know that right now. But here's what we do know: WWE is coming to Toronto in August. He has been rumored to finish his career where he started, in
Talk
his
about a
hometown.
pop. They'll be blowing the rafters off that place.
You know what? It just reminds me of when Daniel Bryan, when he had to retire because of his multiple concussions,
Mm-hmm.
and that test he took that showed that his brain was really not as strong as we thought it was. He got to retire in his hometown of Aberdeen, Washington. Edge could retire in Toronto. But you know what? If Edge is going to retire again, there's a man I want to have come back to this company around for that time again and actually be a part of that celebration. Because you know what, Tony? I dare say this man helped make the Radar Superstar, and that's John Cena. He was never the Radar Superstar until that almost 1 year feud with Cena. I mean, guys, go on A&E, look up WWE Rivals in the episode Cena versus Edge. Watch that again. Watch it, because I just finished it this morning. It said on that Edge would not be who he is without John Cena. Because Cena did everything to make sure Edge was the villain that he wanted to be. Like I said, Batman needs Joker. Triple H, he needed Batista. Edge needed John Cena. I mean, it's heel versus villain. Like, there's no other way to say it. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I mean, you know, um, Tony, it's just amazing when you think about the amazing career of Edge. Just an amazing career that we know is wrapping up. But um, I think when we come back in 2 weeks for you and I, because obviously I'm here every week unless otherwise, and we're going to go over Money in the Bank. I'm not sure we're going to be getting an update on him, but we'll be going over that whole card and everything that happened that night. But I mean, Tony, Money in the Bank changes the course of WWE for the remainder of that WrestleMania calendar year season. Because whoever holds that briefcase holds the company's fate in their hands. And I think this time we're actually going to get someone that actually deserves to be Money in the Bank. I mean, the full card's not completely there yet. It's almost there. But hey, I'm looking forward to dissecting this with you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to getting you involved with this and having some fun there. Um, but I
And
mean,
I have to
Tony,
say, the
yeah.
sleeper horse for that show, at least, things can change between now and then, but I think the
Oh
sleeper
yeah.
match for that show is going to be Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio, who are, the same
Mm,
size, the same build. Cody Rhodes is a little bit older, but I think that
bigger
they're
too.
going to be in that situation where they kind of are going to be on the undercard a little bit. They have a little something to prove, and I think they're going to pull out all the stops. And of course, Dominic Mysterio has a manager, a manageress in his corner, so that always plays a
Managers.
factor
Yep.
too. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to
Sure.
be a good matchup. That's going to be a good matchup that nobody else is talking about.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like all the attention are not even on the ladder matches. It's on the bloodline still. I mean, I think that's the
Yeah,
impact the bloodlines had in the last 2.5 years. And now that we know it's officially over with the bloodline, Money in the Bank's main event. I'm so excited for the Usos, man. I'm so excited for them.
which which sucks for Solo to finally get in the mix, finally get called up from NXT, and then oh sorry, this whole thing you're a part of, it's done now. So bye. Poor Solo.
But right, but it's not just that though. He's basically fighting his own freaking brothers. He's actually fighting his real life brothers. How ironic is it?
Yeah,
Solo's actually going solo. Solo's going solo.
that's gonna make Thanksgiving
Literally.
very awkward.
Extremely awkward.
If you've
Oh my
watched
god.
him in NXT though, I mean, he is such a good wrestler. Just you could
Oh, he's a monster.
fantastic.
He is a scary dude. But I'll tell you though, just as a side note, Tony, before we wrap up, things in the bloodline were so bad that Rikishi was rumored to make a return to fix the problem. But don't forget, that's the daddy of those three guys.
Yeah.
Eh, like it's amazing with the whole Samoan side of WWE how far it's come. But you know what, Tony, I'm looking forward for our next talk together and being able to dissect Money in the Bank, and then I think we can look ahead to SummerSlam and also look at what has to be done and how far things could go. But seriously, Tony, thank you so much for being here,
Yeah,
man. It's always a
absolutely.
pleasure. And
Good stuff.
um um and so before we get out of here, is there anything you want to maybe tease for our next chat together?
Well, like we talked about, there's a ton going on for Impact. There's a ton going on for local wrestling. So if you're a fan this June and July, if you have a chance to get out there and take in some local wrestling, XUC July 8th in Tiverton, New World Wrestling Extreme July 15th in Fall River, Fight Life July 23rd in Rehoboth, and then the New England Fan Fest Pro Wrestling Convention, which is also the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, is going to be on July 29th. So opportunity abounds if you want to see some wrestling up close and personal.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the one and only wrestling legendary New England promoter, Tony Jones. Tony, as always, thank you so much for being here with me, and I'm looking forward to our next one. All right, guys. Tony Jones, folks, the one and only. So, on that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me here. We do this every Wednesday of the week starting at 5. And the preview I'll have for you guys next week is we'll be previewing Money in the Bank's entire card, my predictions on who I want to win for each match, any more news regarding CM Punk, and especially with WWE, any more updates, especially regarding Edge as he gets closer to his second retirement. And we'll be dissecting all of this on the final Wednesday of June. Man, hard to believe we're going to hit July. Wow.
Yeah.
So, on behalf of my co hosts, but most importantly, my partners of Falls Count Anywhere, Mr. X Jr., just want to say real quick Junior's dad is actually battling lung cancer currently as we speak right now. And all of us want to give our love and prayers to him as he's dealing with this because it looks like he's going through it again. And, all of our love is with him. Our prayers are with him. And hopefully Junior will be joining us for next week's broadcast. But all of our love and our prayers are with him and his whole family during this time. So on behalf of Mr. X Jr., Mr. X Sr., we're all praying for you, good sir. We're hoping nothing but the best for you and my dad, Edward Dunn, and of course, the man to my right side here, Tony Jones. This is Erik Dunn saying so long and thank you very much for once again joining me from my home in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. This has been a presentation of Falls Count Anywhere here on the Rhode Island B Broadcasting Network. We'll see you guys for the final broadcast of June next Wednesday at 5. We're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Mr. X Sr., please get better. Mr. X Jr., our prayers are with you. And thank you guys so much for watching and listening.